Isabelle? Yeah. You do me a favor, try to stand up, put your hands behind your back.
I think in my dreams he told me that he wanted me to kill him. So I think it's only fair.
A Florida teen accused of plotting to kill her own classmate now faces even bigger trouble with the law over a chilling discovery allegedly found on her cell phone.
I don't know, they took my phone away. They took all my stuff away. So they're like, you can't have this in there.
We have the new disturbing details from Florida's Department of Law Enforcement, bringing this already, frankly, mind-boggling saga to an even deeper and truly darker level. We're on the case presented by Law&Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Well, let's get to the shocking twist in the Florida teen murder plot case that we have been following out of Altamont Springs, Florida, which is in the central part of the state near Orlando. Now, if you remember, two high school freshmen, 15-year-old Isabelle Valdez and 14-year-old Lois Lippert, were arrested in January for allegedly plotting to kill their teen classmate. And the reported motivation behind it left everyone speechless. And what was even more memorable, frankly, in all the wrong ways, was how the teens reacted when police took them into custody right on school grounds. They were nonchalant. They even giggled at various points. But back in May, Valdez appeared to change her tune. She wrote a letter to the judge begging for sympathy. This was after that body cam video inside the police cruiser went viral and everybody had been talking about this case. She certainly changed her tune, saying that she has changed for the better. But now here we are 1 month later, and that same teenager is now facing separate legal trouble with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement on allegations that are just, if not even more disturbing than her original case. And this is after a months-long investigation from the Cybercrime Task Force. Now, we have all the details that we know so far about these new charges that we're going to give you, and we're going to talk about what this potentially means for Valdez's, now plural, cases moving forward. But before we get to that point, if you have not seen this story as of yet, I need to tell you everything that got us to this point. So I want to go back to January 22nd of this year. We're at Lake Brantley High School, and school officials receive an anonymous tip from a male student. And that tipster claimed another student who went by the name Jimmy was planning to kill a classmate the next day on January 23rd. Now, through the investigation, police say the person named Jimmy from the tip was positively identified as 15-year-old Isabelle Valdez, who, according to officers, was already being investigated for swatting calls made to another student on 3 different occasions in January, including the day that the tip came in. Officers went to Valdez's home the next morning to ask her about that tip, and she denied knowing the tipster or speaking with anyone the prior night because at this point in time, Valdez said law enforcement already had custody of her cell phone. Now, you will come to learn later on that these latest charges that we're talking about today actually involve Valdez's cell phone, but for a separate and frankly even more chilling alleged reason than just swatting. So keep this detail in mind. So let's go back to that morning, January 23rd, and officers asked school personnel to pull Valdez, along with her best friend, 14-year-old Lois Lippert, out of their classes to conduct interviews. And here is where this story takes a disturbing twist. According to police, Valdez said that she was planning on hurting someone at the school, even writing a letter to her parents that she planned to give to them afterwards. Now, when asked how she would hurt the student, Valdez allegedly told officers that she had several items in her backpack, including a knife, gloves, trash bags, and wipes. Even more disturbing is why Valdez allegedly targeted this particular student. She told police that she became fascinated with school shooters in middle school, and she actually developed a romantic infatuation with the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooter. You just think of one of the worst tragedies we've ever seen that happened back in 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut. Now, according to Valdez, the student reminded her of the shooter from Sandy Hook. Police say that Valdez proceeded to stalk and take pictures of the student on campus using the help of 2 other students. But you have to ask yourself, Why would Valdez want to allegedly murder someone that she had this infatuation with? Well, here is what she reportedly told police. Quote, Valdez stated she heard voices telling her that if she killed the alleged target, the Sandy Hook shooter, and her, they would have a blood bond which would bring the shooter back to life. Valdez stated that she planned to wait for the target in the upstairs bathroom where she would pull him inside. Valdez stated she would then stab him in the stomach or cut his throat. Valdez stated that she had flowers for him and would leave them for his funeral. Valdez had 2 cigarettes and a lighter with her, which she planned to smoke after killing. Valdez wanted to smoke the cigarettes after she killed him because she knew she would be arrested, end quote. Now, Valdez, this goes on to say, was asked whether she had considered the consequences, and Valdez replied, quote, jail or a psych ward, but it did not matter. She was going to do it. She wanted to be with the shooter, end quote. So according to the report, Valdez first came up with the plot to kill her classmate 3 months prior. But how is her best friend, this other teen named Lois Lippert, involved? Well, according to police, Lippert learned about the murder plot the day before Valdez was planning to carry it out and allegedly let Valdez use her phone to contact friends through online platforms, including Discord and Telegram. Lippert also allegedly sharpened the knife Valdez was going to use and brought her items such as a flower, gloves, cigarettes, and a lighter. Valdez also told police she had Lippert make drawings of her with the alleged victim and the Sandy Hook shooter, most of them depicting sexual acts or violence. At this point, the officers have heard enough about both Valdez and Lippert's alleged involvement in this plot, and both of them are taken into custody on attempted murder charges. And here is how that went through police body-worn camera footage.
Isabelle? Yeah. You do me a favor and try to stand up with your hands behind your back. Just gonna tighten these just a little bit, okay? Don't move. You start twisting your hands, it'll get real tight on you. Okay, so just leave your hands as. You all right?
Yeah.
You need me to loosen a hand? Which one?
No, it's okay. It's just I got like stabbed in the back with the thing.
Okay. Alright. Just come on out this way.
I think we're going down.
Out this way?
Yeah,
Towards
because
the...
that way, it gets
Okay.
you out to the...
Okay, so we're waiting for the other. We'll bring them, I'm just going to bring them both at the same time.
Have they explained what's going on?
He's coming? Alright.
Have they explained to you? So unfortunately, you are under arrest. You're being charged with attempted first-degree murder. Okay? And that's premeditated. You're going to be transported to jail, and then you'll be able to get in contact with your parents there, okay? But we are going to call your parents to let them know what's going on. Okay? All right.
Lois, you want to stand up? Place your hands behind your back.
Have they talked to you about why you're getting arrested? Right. So let's I'll explain. So I'll explain everything. The reason you're being arrested is you helped her sharpen a knife. And so that's an accessory to the crime. Okay? You're going to be transported to the juvenile assessment center. There you'll be able to get in contact with your parents. But we are going to contact your parents and let them know what's going on. Okay?
Coach Doyle, I need you to check out, please. First name Audrey, last name Neal.
Let's go. Let's start going.
Neal.
We got like a minute.
For a search and a...
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Hey, best friend. We're gonna kiss them?
Yes.
Both Valdez and Lippert are searched and placed in the squad car and now facing first-degree attempted murder charges. And their apparent nonchalant attitude becomes downright mockery on their ride to jail.
Are we gonna be in the same one?
What do you mean, same one?
Same jail?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh my god.
It's so cold in that room.
Which I know. Dude, they had me sitting there and I was so... Dude, they took away my chocolate.
No!
I was able to eat like a part of it, like a part of the big bar.
Oh my god.
But then that's it.
They pulled up the security cameras and stuff and they got to see
I
us
know,
walking
I
out.
saw.
Yeah. That was the first time I've ever seen this. I wanted to see someone more. I was like, whoa, look, I'm on the cameras now.
Dude, not a school shooting, at least.
Yeah. We'd be in prison for life.
Yeah. I wonder how long we're gonna get.
I'm probably not gonna get that much time.
I gotta
I
get
like
that
touched the
much
knife for a few seconds, yo.
Who, you trying to look good for your mugshot?
Oh, am I gonna get a mugshot?
What, we're going to jail? What do you think?
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, I was gonna do my makeup this morning for the mugshot, but I couldn't find anything.
I'm glad I don't actually look too bad today.
I look horrible. It's over.
And don't worry, you don't need to. Don't worry, you're the butch. It doesn't matter if you look bad.
Hey, at least they were gonna see me some way or another in the mugshot. I don't feel guilty for my actions, but I feel guilty on how you were gonna feel. Because honestly, I don't care.
I haven't talked to my parents yet. I don't even know if my parents know what's going on.
They don't. They haven't called mine either.
Well, at least that's.
My mom's gonna be yelling at me through the phone. What are you doing? Why are you trying to kill this kid?
I think my mom's gonna be okay. Loki, she's probably like when they're asking me like, do you really want to lie? Would your parents really want you lying for Jamie? Like, yeah, they would. I was like, yeah.
Dude, they made me swear to tell the truth. Hey, Lois. Dude, I thought I was gonna get sent to the psych ward. That's why I was so excited about everything. You think I would be so jolly if I was going to jail?
Yeah, I was kind of assuming they were wording it like you were gonna go to psych ward.
I know. Dude, I should have told them all this. Okay, so I was there, and then they were asking me about the swatting incident that happened, and I started crying because I thought she was gonna feel bad, and send me to the psych ward, because I was like, I thought I was hurting someone. Yeah, I thought about hurting this boy. And then they saw through my and then they pulled out the bag from my backpack. I had to tell them everything that was inside. I think in my dreams he told me that he wanted me to kill him. So I think it's only fair, you know?
Yeah. Oh my god, I almost laughed and I almost peed myself.
Hey, by the time we're gonna be out, we could go to community college together.
This is such a bonding experience.
I
love this.
Let me out. This is so boring.
Both Valdez and Lippert made their first appearance in court on February 4th of this year, and they had a completely different demeanor in court as they learned that they would be held without bond. This was not a game. Both students are also facing some very serious charges. So for Valdez, she is up against this attempted first-degree premeditated murder, which is a capital felony, attempted first-degree felony murder, armed burglary of a structure, attempted aggravated child abuse with a deadly weapon, possession of a weapon on school property, and aggravated stalking. Now, as for Lippert, she's facing the same charges minus the charge of aggravated stalking. Now, both students have pleaded not guilty, and both teens are due back in court for a status conference on June 24th. But now that you've seen just how casual this entire situation appeared to be for Valdez, here is how the tables have turned now 4 months later. You have this handwritten letter that's dated May 13th, 2026, and it was sent from the John E. Polk Correctional Facility. And inside, Valdez explains how she developed the mindset leading to the murder plot, allegedly of her classmate. And this note reads, quote, "Growing up, I was exposed to the internet at a very young age, and all that was bad stemmed from it. The internet made me a horrible, horrible person. I was groomed and assaulted multiple times growing up by people my own age and people older than me. I've always denied anything happening because I felt like expressing this to anyone made me weak. Sometimes I still do. My own parents don't even know about it. I was also bullied growing up very severely that I had been suicidal since the age of 7. I never expressed this feeling because I felt like others would not take me seriously since I was so young. I spoke out on the bullying, but no one really paid attention to what I ever said, even if my parents spoke out. Around the age of 10, I found joy in hurting those that hurt me, which I don't anymore. And around 12, I just enjoyed hurting others. But also around 12, I fell into a very, very deep depression. I felt like there was nothing left for me anymore. I refused anyone's attempts to help me. One day I decided to speak out and was Baker acted for suicidal reasons in 2024. I found it more of a joke and not serious since I had felt like this before, but I found out others did not. Honestly, I felt like this was the first time I had felt that someone took me seriously. I was extremely grateful for this, and I started changing. But in 2025, something happened. I just relapsed into the person I used to be. Around the same time, I had met Lois Lippert, my co-defendant, and we both got worse together. I ask and pray that you have sympathy and compassion on her. In 2022, 2023, I joined this group called TCC, which stands for True Crime Community, which had also affected me greatly. This group, they all promoted violence. I felt seen there, but in reality, it was deteriorating me. I got groomed in this community further into believing that violence was good. The people that were my so-called friends only ever wanted me to harm myself or others. I had met one person in particular that liked to cause me stress and damage. He was responsible for an incident at my school. When me and Lois said we used to joke about killing, and the name's redacted, and since we were both in such horrible mental states, we thought it was okay. Now to explain about the student, I used to like him a lot because he reminded me of a shooter I liked, which I no longer do. Now, when you think of the true crime community, you might be thinking of people like, those of us that follow true crime stories, report on true crime stories. But the truth is, and we researched this when we saw the name True Crime Community, it is a group that is also used as an umbrella term for specific extremist internet groups. So this is not like what we typically think about when it comes to true crime. According to the national security analysis nonprofit CNA, the true crime community is an internet subculture characterized by fascination with high-profile mass killers, especially mass shooters and school shooters. It is strongly influenced by the Columbiners, the online fandom dedicated to the perpetrators of the 1999 Columbine high school shooting in Colorado. Members of the Columbiners have perpetrated a number of mass shootings, including the 2012 shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary School. True crime community participants blur the line between expressing mere interest in mass shootings and glorifying them. Although not all those interested in the true crime community are likely to engage in or call for violence, the community normalizes mass violence and has inspired replication of past attacks. According to the CNA, these types of groups target vulnerable young people with unmet social needs, including isolation, bullying, or mental health challenges. So we don't know for sure if Valdez was in fact groomed or manipulated by her online activity, even though she is apparently claiming that. The evidence will have to present itself in the form of psychological evaluations or other means throughout the legal process. But it does give some food for thought that these types of communities are out there and exist to this day. And it sounds like a huge problem. But I want to continue with the final page of this letter where Valdez continues to talk about the student victim that she reportedly, allegedly targeted. Quote, I have multiple forms of anxiety, so I never spoke to him in fear of being rejected. So I started following him around, which I am deeply sorry about now. When I was detained, I started acting recklessly and edgy. I made everything sound worse than it was because I wanted help. I wanted to paint myself as more insane so I could be sent to some place where I could get help. But obviously, it didn't work. As I've been here, I've been thinking about my life and my choices, and I please beg and ask of you to please have some sympathy on me for as I want to change and I'm changing as a person. I'm not the same girl I was those 3 months ago. Now, the judge is going to have to decide what type of role this letter will play, if any, in Valdez's case as it moves forward. I mean, when you think of the evidence that they have on her, what she's accused of doing, to have such a monumental change just 3 months after your arrest, Well, the truth is that story, that case, that is now just one problem that Valdez is dealing with, because now we have a separate situation that is at play. On Wednesday, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement announced that while in custody, Valdez was charged again, this time on 10 counts of possession of child sex abuse material. Yeah, this story went to a new level. But the question is, how did this discovery come about? So here's what police said in their press release to the media. FDLE's Cybercrime Task Force agents opened the investigation in February 2026 after detectives with the Altamont Springs Police Department reported a digital video file found on Valdez's cell phone depicting the sexual abuse of children. Now remember, Valdez's phone was allegedly in police custody since January, before the anonymous tip about this alleged murder plot came in. And that's why Valdez allegedly asked Lippert to use her phone to communicate with people about this alleged plan. So it does appear at some point during local police's phone search that they called on the FDLE's Orlando Cybercrime Task Force to take a closer look. Quote, FDLE obtained a search warrant for Valdez's cell phone and conducted a forensic analysis of the device. Agents located several video files depicting the sexual abuse of children, some children as young as 3 years old. It is truly baffling to hear if these allegations are true. And if Valdez is charged as an adult, each count is punishable by up to 5 years in prison, according to Florida law. So that could mean a maximum sentence of 50 years total. Now, according to the press release, this case will be prosecuted by the state attorney's office in the 18th Judicial Circuit, handling matters out of Seminole and Brevard counties, and it appears it will be handled separately from her attempted murder case. Now, we're going to continue to watch how this saga unfolds, and we're going to keep you updated on the very latest in this incredibly disturbing and concerning case out of Florida. That will do it for On the Case, presented by Law and Crime. Subscribe to us on YouTube and Spotify, and we're also now streaming on Peacock. I'm Chris Stewart. See you next time.